Greetings and salutations. If you're new to the channel, I want to thank you for stopping by. My name is Eric Moss. I'm a personal trainer, motivational speaker, and modern-day performing strongman. If you're unfamiliar with what a modern-day performing strongman is picture the strongmen of old like the mighty Adam and Alexander Zass and the sort of shows that they would run where they would perform feats of strength. I do a similar sort of thing, but with a modern-day twist. In my shows, you might catch me doing things like bending steel bars, breaking chains with my chest, rolling up frying pans, twisting horseshoes, and something that I had been working for about 10 years, which was holding back a high-performance motorcycle while taking off at full throttle. Now, being a modern-day performing strongman and the fact that there's not a whole lot of us around these days, I know that people have questions for me. So in an effort to spread the gospel on strength, give you guys what you want, as well as generate content for my YouTube channel, I started a series called Ask Eric Moss, where I would invite you to ask me questions by dropping it in the comments below. And when you do that, I get back to you with your very own custom video. Pretty cool, right? So this question comes from Eric Schaub. And I also know that Patrick Starr asked a similar question a while ago, and I wanted to update it because I'm always improving myself. So Eric Schaub says, Hey Eric to you as well. Do you have any secret food recipe or multivitamin or any routine for muscle recovery? Something like hot showers? I've been following your content, but isometrics left me exhausted for days. Thanks in advice, or thanks in advance. I think you meant to say autocorrect can sometimes be a little bit tricky. So thank you for asking that question, Eric. So as far as secret food recipes or multivitamins, I don't have any secret food recipes, though I do try to keep my protein content and relatively high, and I also do try to get fiber and generally eat healthy. My wife is a Beachbody coach and does most of the cooking, since I'm usually at work when it's time for her to start preparing food. And since she's also healthy, we generally try to stay healthy. Healthy bodies recover more effectively. Now, as far as multivitamins, here's what I currently like. This is something called Clean Athlete, and I just kind of looked on Amazon for what people liked and read some of the reviews. And this one seemed to be at a pretty reasonable price and had what I was looking for. And I knew that I was probably deficient in something, even though I try to keep a well-rounded nutrition plan. I don't go crazy with these. The serving size says 2 tablets, and I usually just take 1. That's not the secret to my strength, though. The other supplement that I take is a calcium, magnesium, zinc supplement. And what that does is calcium, magnesium, and zinc are generally good for bone and tendon health. But I also find that the magnesium helps me sleep more soundly. I wouldn't say that that's the secret, but getting good quality sleep is very, very important for recovery. Now I'm trying to think, is there anything else? So you had mentioned that isometrics left you exhausted for days. Now, one of the key things that I want to say that is important for recovery is getting the right stimulus right, dosing it correctly. Isometrics can be deceptively fatiguing. And when you do them, it doesn't really feel like you're getting as much work done, and then all of a sudden you are completely exhausted, you hit the wall. That's what it sounds like. What I would do if I were you is I would probably err on the side of less, as in like less is more. Try to dose it from there. In my routines now, I'm training 5 days a week with weights, but I'm also incorporating isometrics as well as some feats of strength in there. So twice a week, I am practicing brace bend isometrics where I'm pushing down on an immovable object on my thigh. And what I'm doing as far as doses, first off, that's just twice a week. What I'll do is I'll roll a dice, and that will determine how many seconds the contraction is for. And then I'll roll another dice, and that'll say how many rounds it's for. And since it's only twice a week, it's not likely to leave me that exhausted. And that's only one thing. And I'll do a similar thing for like phone books, which is not really my strong suit. And I had it planned for some of the shows that I've got in the future. And then as far as the feats of strength, I'll just practice like bending wrenches, which someone else had mentioned bending spanners, which spanners is also wrenches. And I'm going to be getting to that in a future video. Now, piggybacking on the question that Patrick Starr had asked a while back, where he was asking about recovery, specifically from my shows, not necessarily, actually, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry about that, Eric. So you mentioned hot showers for routine for muscle recovery, something like hot showers, ? It's funny you ask that because, yes, I do take hot showers, but then I also take cold showers. I'll start with hot and I'll get myself all cleaned and everything. And then from there, I will turn it to as cold as I can stand. This is something that I got from reading Wim Hof's book. And I was originally turned on to Wim Hof through my friend David the Iron Tamer Whitley, who is also a modern day performing strongman, who got deep into that community. And usually if I have a question about how to incorporate Wim Hof's teachings, I just fire him off a text and just ask it. One of the other things that I'll do for recovery, and this is something that was promoted to me from Chris Ryder, is I'll stick my hands in cold water, ice cold water, for about a minute, which is actually something that I had read about in Wim Hof's app. And I also had read Wim Hof's book. And it's like kind of funny to see how like everything seems to come back to the cold. Now, I'm not going to give away the details of everything in Wim Hof's book, but I'll just say this. Inside your body are all sorts of veins and arteries, which have like small muscles around them. And those muscles are tasked with doing things like constricting and dilating them. Constricting and dilating them pushes some of the blood that might be swollen, and which would help bring in new blood. This is something that I had discussed with Chris Ryder when he first told me to stick my hands in the cold water, because I sort of understood what he was getting at. And then it was like, it went more in depth in Wim Hof's book, which I'm really enjoying. I'm it's like my body's gotten acclimated to the cold, and usually when I stop the cold showers, it's not because I can't stand it anymore. It's because I'm kind of getting bored and I'm ready to move on. Some of the other things that I do for recovery is, going back to Wim Hof, is I do his breath cycles. One of the things with the breath cycles is it helps me almost get into a meditative trance. It helps provide oxygen for the tissues, and it makes my body temporarily alkaline. I'm going to provide some links to some of the resources that you can find right here on YouTube as far as like the breath cycles. And there's even one that I watched not long ago where it was a doctor that was explaining everything that was going on from a doctor's perspective. I'm trying to think, did I leave anything out? So, Wim Hof breath work, Wim Hof cold exposure. Those are some of the things that I do for recovery to help reduce the inflammation in my body. Now, as far as I'm going back to the question that Patrick Starr asked me way back in September, because I've since upgraded my methods. One of the things that I have access to is a chiropractor, but I don't always have time for a chiropractor, particularly if it's like immediately following a show. Like I recently did a show a motivational performance in Kansas City. Obviously, my chiropractor is not in Kansas City. So one of the things that I started packing with me is this thing. It's a neck decompression device. And what I do is I would put this around my neck, and then I can inflate it. And this thing inflates, which pushes my head up while simultaneously pushing my head down to try to decompress my neck, because my finale feat is bending a reinforcing steel bar on the bridge of my nose. And when I get up to sometimes 5/8 of an inch, which is about the width of your thumb, it puts a lot of compressive forces on my spine. And since I don't want to retire the feat anytime soon, and I also don't want to have significant injuries, I have to pay attention to recovery strategies so that I can keep doing this for the long haul. So, Eric Schaub and Patrick Starr, I thank you for asking those questions, and I hope I provided a well enough answer. If anybody else has questions, drop it in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you with your very own custom video. But in the meantime, please stay happy, healthy, and strong. Eric Moss, over and out.